a Granby to a Nearfall. It is designed to help develop the skills of the interscholastic and intercollegiate wrestler and coach, targeting more experienced individuals. The moves will be broken down into 3 areas: setups, counters, and finishing moves. There are 7 setups, 7 counters, and 4 finishing moves. The 7 setups are demonstrated 3 times each. The moves are shown in normal speed, slow motion, and at different angles. The Granby roll-through is the first setup. The bottom wrestler fins his feet, elevates his hips, and rolls across his shoulders. As he rolls through, he controls his opponent's hand and reaches back between the legs. He controls his arm and leg for reversal and a near fall. The bottom wrestler fins his feet, elevates his hips, and rolls across his own shoulders. As he rolls, he controls his opponent's hand and near leg. The bottom wrestler again fins his feet, elevates his hips, and rolls through across his shoulders and controls the top man's hand and leg to hold him on his back. The second setup is a fake switch. The bottom wrestler goes into a fake switch, rolls back through the legs, and controls his opponent's arm and leg for control. In this position, the bottom wrestler does a fake switch. As he goes to the switch position, the top wrestler tucks his arm, the bottom wrestler elevates his hips, rolls back into the top wrestler, rolls him over and controls a hand and leg. The bottom wrestler goes into a switch position, elevates his hips, rolls back through and controls the top wrestler's hand and arm. The third setup is a sit-out. The bottom wrestler goes into a sit-out, turns back under, controls the hand, and holds the top wrestler to his back. The bottom wrestler goes into a sit-out, turns under, reaches back between the legs, and rolls, controlling him with his arms. Again, the sit-out as a setup. The wrestler goes into a sit-out position, turns back, rolls and controls the hand and leg of the top man for reversal and near fall. The short stand-up is the fourth setup. The bottom wrestler goes to the short stand-up, comes up with the outside leg, elevates his hips, comes back through the legs with his arm, and controls the leg as he rolls to the mat. The bottom wrestler does a short stand-up. He comes up with the outside leg, he starts to come up, and the top wrestler tucking back down. As he does, the bottom wrestler reaches back through the legs, rolls and controls the hand and leg for reversal and near fall. Again, the short stand-up as a setup. He goes up with the outside leg, reaches back between the legs, rolls and controls the hand and leg for reversal and near fall. This setup is a side roll. The top wrestler is going to push in a little bit too much. His elbow comes out and the bottom wrestler controls the arm. He rolls the top wrestler across his body and controls the arm and leg for reversal and near fall. Again, the top wrestler gets his arm that's around the waist too high. The bottom wrestler will control the arm and roll back through the top wrestler's leg. He then controls the top wrestler's arm and leg. The top wrestler reaches too high. The bottom wrestler controls the arm and rolls the top wrestler to the mat. The sixth setup is a stand-up and swivel hips. The bottom wrestler executes a stand-up. While in the top positions, he swivels his hips, steps behind the top wrestler's leg, reaches between the legs, and rolls back down to the mat, controlling the arm and leg. The bottom wrestler stands up, swivels his hips, steps behind, reaches between the legs, and rolls, controlling the top wrestler's arm and leg for reversal and near fall. The stand-up and swivel hips used as a setup. The bottom wrestler stands up, swivels his hips, reaches between the legs, rolls and controls the arm and leg. The seventh setup is a sucker setup. It is used by the top wrestler. He has his back leg over and hooked the bottom man's near leg. Top man slips down to the mat. When the bottom wrestler reaches around the waist, he rolls him. Now the man doing the move is the top wrestler. He hooks the bottom wrestler's near leg. He slips over the top of the to the mat. The bottom wrestler reacts by reaching around the waist. The wrestler then hooks that arm, then rolls the bottom wrestler over to his back for a near fall. Again, watch the legs. The top wrestler hooks the near leg. He slips forward to his hands. As the bottom wrestler reaches around the waist, the wrestler hooks the arm and rolls. He controls the man to his back for a near fall. There are 7 counters. The first counter is the high or back leg over. The bottom wrestler attempts a Granby. As he does, the top wrestler kicks his high or back leg over the head and keeps his hips flat on the arm to control his opponent. As the bottom wrestler goes to his hips to roll, the top wrestler kicks his back leg up and around the opponent's head. He keeps his hips flat and controls the arm for a near fall. The top man is going to counter bottom man's Granby. The bottom wrestler reaches back and tries to roll. The top man kicks over the top with his back leg, keeping his hips flat, and controls the man to the mat, gaining a near fall. Now, same move, high or back leg over. The top man is going to counter the bottom wrestler's Granby. When the bottom wrestler goes to his hip, he kicks his back leg up over the bottom man's head. Then he controls the arms with his arm. The second counter is reverse or far side half Nelson. The wrestler reaches back for the Granby. Top wrestler puts in the far side half, drives the half back towards him, and controls the near arm on the mat with his leg and hips. Again, the top wrestler is going to counter the bottom man's Granby. He puts in a far side half, driving it towards him. He controls the arm with his hips and arm. The bottom wrestler is going to attempt a Granby. He reaches back to the leg. The top man is going to slip his arm back. He puts in a far side half, drives the half toward him, and keeps his hips down, controlling the arm. The bottom wrestler reaches for the Granby. The top wrestler is going to push the head away, puts in the far side half, drives it back, and keeps his back leg on the mat, controlling the arm. The third counter is a reverse headlock. As the bottom wrestler steps over the back leg, he puts in a reverse headlock, straightens the man out, and pulls the man right back over to his back. wrestler steps over the top wrestler's back leg. He starts to go for a Granby. As he does, the top wrestler reaches for a reverse headlock. He straightens him out and rolls him right back over his body to his opponent's back. The bottom wrestler steps over the leg. The top wrestler puts on a reverse headlock inside the near arm and over the neck on the far side. He straightens him out and rolls him right back over his own body to the man's back. He has to keep his legs straight and elevated to keep control. The bottom wrestler steps over the back leg. As he does, the top wrestler reaches inside the near armpit over the neck on the far side. He straightens him out, brings him back, elevating the leg and keeping it straight. He controls the wrestler for a near fall. The fourth counter is just staying behind the armpits and elbow. All the top wrestler does is keep the bottom wrestler from getting the Granby. He stays behind the elbows, staying in the armpits, and doesn't let the bottom man roll him. Again, the bottom wrestler works for a Granby. Instead of letting him get it, he must stay behind both elbows. He keeps the pressure on him and doesn't let him roll him. The bottom wrestler works for a Granby. The top man stays behind the elbows and in the armpits. He keeps the pressure on him. He stays behind the elbows. The bottom wrestler is unable to roll the top man, so the man maintains his top position. The fifth counter is the sprawl or sag. It is very similar to staying in the armpits and behind the elbows. He still stays in the armpits and elbows, but he's going to sag his hips. He keeps his hips away from the bottom man's body. Staying in the armpits again, he keeps his hips back. If he keeps his hips back, the bottom wrestler is unable to roll. He stays back as the bottom wrestler tries to work for a Granby roll. He stays behind the elbows and keeps his hips away from the bottom wrestler. Bottom man tries to roll. Top man keeps his hips away and stays in the armpits. The top wrestler has too much leverage, so the bottom wrestler is unable to roll. The sixth counter is a banana split. The bottom wrestler has his leg over the top wrestler's leg. The top man pulls the knee up to his shoulder with his arm closest to the head. The leg that is hooked is straightened, so he then rotates out and puts the man to his back for a near fall. Bottom man is stepped over the top wrestler's back leg. The top wrestler pulls the bottom wrestler onto his thigh, hooks his arm at the knee up to his elbow and rotates him back over. He pushes on bottom man's hip to flatten his shoulders. The bottom wrestler steps over the leg. The top wrestler straightens his leg, pulls him on his thigh, reaches in deep to his own elbow and pulls the knee to his shoulder. He rotates back and puts him to his back. Top man uses his free hand to push on the hips to force the shoulders flat. Note, the bottom wrestler has his leg over the top man's leg. The top man straightens his leg and pulls him on his hip or thigh. He pulls the knee to his shoulder, drives him back, and pushes up on the hips to control bottom wrestler's shoulders to the mat. The seventh counter is the near half Nelson. The bottom wrestler has his leg over top wrestler's near leg. The top wrestler puts in a near half Nelson elevates his leg and drives into the bottom wrestler. An important thing not to do in this move is to reach around bottom wrestler's waist, or he could be rolled. Top wrestler puts in a near half, keeps his arm out from around the waist, elevates the leg, and drives into him. In this position, the bottom wrestler has his leg over the top wrestler's near leg. The top wrestler puts in a near half, he reaches to the hips, elevates his back leg, and drives into him. Make sure not to put arm around waist so bottom man can counter. The bottom wrestler's leg is over top wrestler's leg. The top wrestler puts in a half, reaches to the hips, elevates back leg, and drives into him and puts him to his back. There are 4 finishing moves. The first one is a roll through with the arm. The bottom man controls the hand or arm of the top wrestler. He rolls the wrestler over, at the same time reaches between the top wrestler's leg. He rolls the top wrestler to his back. Again, bottom wrestler fins his feet, hooks the arm, and comes back through the legs. With control of top wrestler's arm and leg with his arms, he gains reversal and near fall points. Bottom man hooks the arm, rolls the top wrestler over, reaches between the legs, and controls the top wrestler to his back. The second move is the roll through with the leg over top wrestler's leg. Instead of reaching between the legs, he has his leg to control the top wrestler's leg. As he hooks the leg, he controls the elbow or hand of the top wrestler. He then rolls the top wrestler over by tucking his shoulders under and elevating his leg. Bottom wrestler has his leg over the top wrestler's leg. He hooks the arm and rolls back through the top wrestler's legs and using his leg to lift and pull the top wrestler over. Control top wrestler in that using your arms. Last time, bottom wrestler has his leg over top wrestler's leg. He hooks the arm and elevates the leg as he rolls through the legs of the top wrestler. He then controls the wrestler with his arms to gain control. The third finishing move is the opposite direction with the arm around top wrestler's leg. The bottom wrestler controls the top wrestler's arm around his waist. He attempts to roll through. Top wrestler counters, resisting in opposite direction. He reverses direction, going in a circular direction back over the top wrestler's legs. This puts him on the same ending position as if he rolled the other way. Bottom wrestler tries to roll top wrestler over. The top wrestler counters by sagging his hips. The bottom man goes back the other way. He goes the same direction top wrestler is going back. He pushes and rotates back over the legs and controls the wrestler with his arms. Top man counters bottom man's Granby by sagging. As he counters, the bottom wrestler rotates back in a circular direction. Fourth finishing move is the opposite direction with leg. This is the same as opposite direction with the arm except you use your leg. The bottom man has his leg over top wrestler's leg. Bottom wrestler tries to roll, but top wrestler sags back. Bottom wrestler goes back the opposite direction in a circular motion, driving back over his legs. The bottom wrestler is over top wrestler's legs. He hooks and attempts a roll, and top wrestler counters. Bottom wrestler must drive back in a circular motion over top wrestler's legs, controlling his arm and leg with your arms for control. The bottom wrestler stepped over the leg and tries to roll. The top man counters, so the bottom wrestler goes back in a circular direction. He controls top wrestler's arm and leg with his arms to gain control and near fall points.
two wrestlers who demonstrated were Scott Lyons, who was in the dark blue uniform. He was a high school All-American from Vacaville High School. And Eddie Franco, who was in the red uniform. He was a Division II All-American from California State University, Sacramento. This instructional videotape was produced and directed by Gary Hubble. I hope you gained some added knowledge from this instructional videotape. It was designed to help individuals who want to enhance their wrestling skills in this area.